Oi, all right, how's it going? I'm Grant, you're you, and this is Doodle Review, back for another Saturday special. It's 2024, and a new year brings a lot of new possibilities when it comes to your favourite artist or band dropping some new material. So in this video, we're going to go through about 10 to 20 artists across multiple genres, covering kind of confirmed releases, teased releases, to just full-blown speculation / kind of a wish list of albums I'd like to see. One band we won't be hearing from though is Rage Against the Machine, with drummer Brad Wilk this past week announcing that despite many of their 2022 reunion dates being initially just postponed due to Zach De La Rocca's injury, they will in fact not be playing as a band anymore. And I don't think anyone really expected new music, to be honest, but it is a bummer that fans won't be able to see such a ferocious live band do their thing again. They never made it to the UK, for fuck's sake. With that being said, De La Rocca's hardcore band, the band he was in prior to Rage, have recently been getting active on social, leading people to believe that we might see a reunion from this very cult and well-loved band. Perhaps that will lead to new music or just a tour. We'll have to wait and see. Now, staying in the R category, another R band we probably won't hear from is Radiohead, despite the release of A Moon-Shaped Pool hitting its 8-year anniversary in 2024. It seems, according to recent interviews with drummer Philip Selway, that although the band are still in touch and intending to continue to work together, they're all just a bit too wrapped up in solo projects at the moment. Tom York and Johnny Greenwood, of course, have their second album as The Smile, releasing at the end of this month with a tour to follow, and Selway has already been talking up a third album. That being said, as recently as November, Selway did go on to say that they are coming back around to that point, but given that Radiohead have never been known to kind of rush, I'd say that it's unlikely we'll get something in the next 12 months, but we'll see. Okay, staying with the UK music, let's talk about Liam Gallagher and John Squire. This is a project that came about all quite of a sudden. The pairing of Oasis frontman, now solo artist Liam Gallagher, and John Squire, guitarist of legendary but long dormant elder Manchester band The Stone Roses, is one that makes so much sense on paper, but one I didn't necessarily see coming, and maybe I should. In 2022, Squire actually joined Liam on stage at his huge Nebworth shows, repeating his special guest appearance with Oasis at the same venue 16 years previously, and this no doubt planted the seed of this collaboration if it hadn't already been decided. The first track, Just Another Rainbow, dropped yesterday, and so far it sounds like exactly what you'd imagine: 60s psychedelia by way of 90s Manchester guitars, with Liam's familiar vocal twang over the top. I'm not sure about the song itself yet, but we'll see. Details about the album are still TBC, but I imagine it should be coming soon. While we're on the topic of the Gallaghers, rival brother Noel Gallagher maintained a recent tradition of releasing a demo on New Year's Eve, putting out the tender acoustic number In a Little While on the very last day of 2023. Now, earlier in 2023, while on the BBC radio show, he actually mentioned that he was underway writing an acoustic album with In a Little While, one of those songs mentioned. So perhaps, although we've only just got Council Skies, another High Flying Birds release might actually be around the corner. I do recall Noel saying in previous interviews that he tends to like to write and record in the new year / springtime. So depending how far along the process he already is and between touring, we might just get some more Noel tunes in the latter part of 2024. Now, King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. This one is more of a safe bet than speculation, but equally, I don't think there is anything actually confirmed right now. All we do know is that since 2012, the only year the band hasn't released a minimum of one album was 2018. There's a chance, given that we had 5 projects in 2022 and 2 in 23, and with a stacked touring schedule in front of them, that 24 might be a year off, but I doubt it. I think the real question is, what genre will these psych fiends take on next? Okay, switching gears to hip hop for a bit, with an album that is supposed to be locked in but also could still be just delayed or even abandoned, such is the unreliable and unpredictable nature of Kanye. My social feeds were buzzing around November-December time with the ostensibly cancelled but seemingly not rapper out at listening parties previewing this new record, which is a collaboration between himself and Ty Dolla $ign. The album, titled Vultures, has already had 2 or 3 release dates so far, but at last look, I think it seems set to drop on the 12th of January. But again, you just have to take that with a pinch of salt. The man has been known to delay things at the last minute, put things up, take them down, alter them, or just completely scrap projects. We all remember Yandhi, for example. Honestly, the whole thing makes me a bit uneasy. I've been a Kanye apologist in the past, but I do think his behaviour in the last 12 to 18 months has been pretty disgusting on many counts. And honestly, the Everybody track that everyone is so hyped about it's not good. Like, it's a banging hook, but that's because of the sample that they've used, which is fine. I'm not against that. But what I've heard so far of Kanye's verse on it is terrible. It'd be funny if it wasn't so sad to see the fanatics kind of do mental gymnastics trying to justify some of the bad lines as like Kanye level genius. The other track, Vultures, has at least a little more effort into the bars from what I can hear, but the lyrics are pretty awful and the beat is really nothing special. End of the day, I'm still going to listen to it if it does drop, but yeah, I don't think you could say I'm excited for it. One artist I am excited to hear from, though, is Playboi Carti. He's dropped a string of singles over the last few weeks, leading fans to believe he's getting ready to drop the follow-up to 2020's Whole Lotta Red. According to the rumour mill, the album is titled Music, and producer DJ Academics has been quoted as saying the album is coming this month in January. The songs we've got so far are pretty decent. They definitely feel like Carti, but in a different sort of vibe from Whole Lotta Red. The beats like Different Day and 2024 have a less aggressive tone, with 2024 in particular having a kind of triumphant horn-based beat, which is really fun. Fingers crossed we don't have long to wait. Run the Jewels. So this is the last one on the hip-hop tip, but surely it's about time for a new Run the Jewels joint. LP and Killer Mike last graced us with an album back in 2020, and I think it was possibly the best one they'd done yet at the time. Initially, when I was kind of researching this, I was excited because High Times posted an article saying that we wouldn't have to wait long, quoting Killer Mike as saying, "The album is literally 2 days away. I have to go in tonight and change 2 lines on a song, and I'm just waiting for some drums from No ID and we're done." But considering LP is the predominant beat maker on RTJ, in fact maybe all of RTJ, and No ID produced Killer Mike's solo album, I'm gonna go out on a limb and say this is just like a misinterpretation by High Times, and Mike was actually just talking about his own album there. I still think we're due a new record though, and I think Mike's promotion around his album Michael is kind of winding down, and the two recently reunited for some RTJ 10-year anniversary shows in LA, so fingers crossed the scene is set for these two to get back to some dual running this year. A quick detour into pop now. It seems Ariana Grande has been teasing a return over the past few weeks, indicating that her 7th record might soon be about to release. I love good pop music, and believe it or not, I actually really enjoyed Grande's previous record Position, so I'll definitely be keen to hear what's next from her. Around June or July last year, The Weeknd was quoted as saying the final part of his trilogy that started with After Hours and continued with Dawn FM is in the process of completion, so I think it's almost certain we'll probably be hearing something from Abel Tesfaye soon, and given just how good both of those albums were, Dawn FM especially, I for one just can't wait to hear what's next. So we can't really talk about pop without of course mentioning Taylor Swift, and similar to King Gizzard, which I'm sure is a comparison that's made all of the time, new music from Swift is more of a safe bet than a prediction. She is still in the process of re-recording and re-releasing her Big Machine Records catalogue, with 2 more left to go, 2006's Self-Titled and 2017's Reputation. Next year will mark 2 years since her last album of original music, which was Midnight, but I wouldn't be surprised if I would be surprised if we got a follow-up. I feel like at this point surely Taylor just wants to kind of get these re-recordings out of the way, and given the scale of her appeal at this point, it makes good business sense to ensure every release gets like a 2 to 3 month build-up and 2 to 3 month afterglow. So with that in mind, I would expect, though I could be wrong, we'll likely just get 2 Taylor's version records this year. Alright, switching it up completely, we're going to talk about Josh Homme. So obviously this is my fully personal wish list, but those that follow the channel might have picked up by now subtly that I'm a big Queens of the Stone Age fan. Now obviously in Times New Roman, the band's latest record isn't even a year old. I don't think we'll likely see a new album from them based on their kind of current track record in 3 to 4 years at least. But we do know Josh Homme is a bit of a workaholic, so with that being said, there are a few Homme projects we could see get some love in 2024. The first would potentially be Desert Sessions. After a long hiatus, we got volumes 11 and 12 back in 2019, so this could be a project that comes to life this year. Desert Sessions, for those not aware, is a project in which Homme kind of corrals a bunch of musicians, and the selections seem to have gotten wider and wider and more eclectic with each entry, but all of these musicians will hole up at Rancho de la Luna Studios in Palm Desert and kind of churn out some great music over the course of a week. Now Homme's previously mentioned he generally liked January, February as the ideal period for recording these, so it could be something that's happening as we speak, but that's wild speculation on my part. All I'll say is that there's a January-sized window in the Queen's touring schedule. If that doesn't happen, there's always Eagles of Death Metal, a project which hasn't put out an album in nearly 10 years at this point. Now, obviously, the Eagles had a rough time after the release of that last record with the attacks in Paris, but quite a lot of time has now passed, and they've been touring pretty relentlessly since, so they definitely are an active band. I have my suspicions that the next Eagles album might see Jesse Hughes break away from Homme's supervision as a co-writer or producer, but at this point the long break between records indicates to me he probably wants to wait for his partner to become available. So 2024 could be the year for that. And then the last one is of course them Crooked Vultures, but to be honest, sadly, I think this is probably the least likely to happen, although I would love to be surprised. Homme's project with Dave Grohl and John Paul Jones has been forever at the mercy of the relentless schedules of its members, and this year with both Queens and Foos in full touring mode, particularly the Foos, this seems like wishful thinking. However, on the positives, we did see the group get back together for the Taylor Hawkins shows in London and LA back in 2022, and this band can work fast. The first record was written and put to tape in January of 2009 and released in November of that year, so who knows, if the three members have found a few weeks here and there since last reuniting, perhaps we could see a new album from them this year. A man can dream. Okay, next on Grant's personal wish list, as we rattle through some of my all-time favourite artists, would be 9 Inch Nails. The last we got from Trent Reznor and Atticus Ross that wasn't a film score was technically Ghosts 5 and 6, but it kind of was a film score. Prior to that was Bad Witch in 2018, but even that comes with caveats as it was an EP, not an album. So it's been a while, and surely we're about due. The only fly in the ointment is Reznor recently jumped on Rick Rubin's podcast and said basically that he's completely uninspired by the state of music and just has no plans to release anything in a 9 Inch Nails capacity. But the only reason I kind of still included this here is that Trent Reznor, well, believe it or not, he can be a tad dramatic. That's probably maybe a bit condescending, but what I mean is there's been plenty of times in the past in which he has felt a certain way about something and then just changed his mind pretty swiftly. You know, let's remember he basically retired 9 Inch Nails the first time in 2009, going as far as to kind of tour the world under the title of Wave Goodbye, only to pop back like barely 3 years later with a new album. And he said that he'll do a lot of things and ultimately decided against it. And he's also said never will I, and done the opposite too. So while in the midst of 2023 he might not have been feeling it, who knows what's changed in the months since. I have, however, been seeing rumours online that Trent and Atticus are contributing production and or songwriting to a project connected to Fortnite called Witch Gang. Little's known about that group. There are only 2 songs online at the moment, and it certainly isn't Trent Reznor on vocals, but Apple Music does list both Reznor and Ross in the credits, as well as Hudson Mohawk and Dave Sitek. this will be one to keep an eye on. Personally, I've got my fingers crossed for Nin in 2024, but if we don't get 9 Inch Nails, it seems we'll get something, whether it's more movie scores or something. In the world of jazz, there's one artist I'm really holding out for, and that's Kamasi Washington. It's now been 6 years since his last absolutely mega triple album, Heaven and Earth, and while no doubt it will take time if he's intending to do something equally as grand for the next project, but maybe, hopefully, 6 years is enough and we'll see something soon. 2024 will also mark 10 years since D'Angelo re-emerged with the excellent Black Messiah album, so could this be the year we get a follow-up for that? He's always rumoured to be working on new music, but the mysterious funk and soul maestro is notoriously secretive, which seems like a good time to drop the obligatory question: will 2024 be the year Frank Ocean finally drops a new album? Honestly, at this point, who knows, I guess. It seems like at any given point in time, we're either a day away from a surprise album drop or at the start of a 5-year wait. I've even seen some stuff online that he's considering removing his music from streaming altogether. So I just don't think anyone could call this one. Either 2024 will be a momentous year with another neo-soul, R&B, pop classic from Ocean, or we'll get another cock ring release. I guess we'll have to wait and see, and the joke's on us. Alright, that's a little roundup of some notable artists we could see drop something this year. Who else are you anticipating some new music from? Do let me know in the comments. And obviously, as always, subscribe, show some love, share some thoughts, or hell some abuse in those comments, and I'll see you in the next video. Okay, cheers mate, bye.